In the heart of Norse mythology, among the roaring seas and the frozen stars of the 9 realms, stands a single guardian, watching. He is Heimdall, the sentinel of the gods, the ever-watchful protector of the Bifrost bridge. But what gave him the power to stand against any intruder, even the giants and forces of Ragnarök itself, was not just his divine vigilance. It was his blade, Hofund, the sword that guards the gate of the gods. Forged before the dawn of men, Hofund was said to gleam with the very light of the Bifrost itself. Its blade shimmered in hues of blue and gold, reflecting the rainbow bridge it was sworn to defend. Some say it was crafted by the same dwarven smiths who made Odin's spear Gungnir, others that Heimdall himself forged it in the fires of creation. But the truth, buried deep in the sagas, tells of a weapon born from balance, light against darkness, vigilance against chaos. Hofund was not merely a sword, it was the will of the gods, made metal. Heimdall's duty was eternal. From his tower, Himinbjörg, he watched over the realms, eyes sharper than the eagle, ears keener than the wolf. It said he could hear grass grow, or the wool of sheep stretching in the fields. And when the frost giants stirred, when the enemies of Asgard whispered of war, Hofund would shimmer in his hand, as if alive, as if it too could sense the coming storm. Every god had their weapon, Odin his spear, Thor his hammer, Freyr his ship. But Hofund was different. It was not made for destruction, but for protection. It was a symbol of vigilance, a promise that no threat would pass unchallenged. Legends say that Hofund could channel the light of the Bifrost. When drawn, the air itself would hum with divine energy, and the bridge between worlds would respond. Some old poems hint that the sword could even open the Bifrost, acting as a key to the very fabric between realms. But to wield Hofund was not without cost. Its power demanded purity, both of heart and purpose. Heimdall, ever noble, ever loyal, bore that burden without hesitation. For he was born for one purpose, to guard. In the Eddas, Heimdall's origins are shrouded in mystery. Some claim he was born of 9 mothers, 9 waves of the sea, who together brought forth a child glowing with divine light. The sword, Hofund, was said to have been gifted to him at his birth, an heirloom of creation itself, to remind him that his life would forever be tied to duty. As centuries passed, Heimdall's legend grew. The gods rested, feasted, and warred, but Heimdall remained at his post. Night and day blurred together, and his gaze never faltered. He heard the wind shift across worlds. He saw the faint flicker of shadow where none should be. And every time, Hofund was ready. To the giants, Hofund was a beacon of dread, for they knew, should they ever cross the bridge, the guardian would meet them there, and none could pass him. But destiny waits for all, even for gods. It was foretold that one day the sound of Gjallarhorn, the horn of Heimdall, would signal the end. Ragnarök, the twilight of the gods. When that time came, Hofund would burn brighter than ever before, and Heimdall would finally face his greatest foe, Loki, the trickster. They were opposites, light and shadow, order and chaos. And on the day the world fell to ruin, they met at the bridge one last time. As the Bifrost cracked and burned, Heimdall raised Hofund high. The sword blazed like a star, slicing through flame and ash. Loki struck back with cunning and fury, their battle shaking the roots of Yggdrasil itself. It was said their fight lasted beyond time, that even the gods paused to watch as creation's guardian fought the god of deceit. And in the end, both fell. Heimdall struck Loki down with Hofund's radiant edge, but not before the trickster's blade found his heart. Their deaths echoed through the realms like thunder. When the dust of Ragnarök settled, Hofund was gone. Some say it was buried with Heimdall in the ashes of Asgard. Others whisper it still lies among the ruins of the Bifrost, waiting for another guardian to take up its light. But there's a deeper tale, one the Skalds rarely told. That Hofund was never truly a sword at all. That it was a fragment of the Bifrost itself, a crystallized shard of cosmic energy shaped into a weapon by the gods. If true, then Hofund was the very boundary between order and chaos, the blade that held the worlds apart. And maybe that's why Heimdall alone could wield it. Because he too was a boundary, a being who existed between realms, neither fully divine nor mortal, born of sea and starlight. The myths also speak of its voice. When unsheathed, Hofund would hum softly, a sound like distant thunder rolling across the horizon. Heimdall could understand it, the sword's whispers guiding his every move. And in the silence of eternity, when all others slept, the Guardian and his weapon watched the universe together. Many have tried to replicate it, smiths, kings, dreamers, but none have succeeded. For what Hofund represents cannot be forged by hand. It is duty, vigilance, and sacrifice made manifest. Some scholars believe the legend of Hofund inspired later tales, the shining swords of angels, the flaming blades of heroes, the lightsabers of modern myth. But all of them trace back to one truth, the light that stands between the worlds of men and gods. Hofund was not merely a sword, it was a promise, that as long as it shone, the bridge between realms would hold. And though Heimdall and his weapon may be gone, their legend endures, whispered by the stars, carried by the winds that sweep across the frozen north. Perhaps that is the true power of Hofund. Not its edge, nor its light, but the idea it represents. That vigilance never dies. That guardianship is eternal. Somewhere, beyond the veil of the 9 realms, the Bifrost still glows faintly, a bridge of color spanning the void. And if you listen closely, you might just hear the faint hum of a sword still waiting. So remember, when the sky burns red and thunder echoes across the horizon, that the Guardian's blade once stood against the end of everything. And though the gods may fall, legends never truly die. If you enjoy exploring the myths and relics of ancient gods, make sure to subscribe and tell me in the comments what legend you want uncovered next. Because in every myth, there's a truth waiting to be found.